I tried on the hat and verified that it will be a good fit. I don't need to undo all of this lace section and start over. So now the next part of the hat is a little pearl bump to go from the side to the top. I want the top of the hat nice and flat and dense so that it keeps the sun off. I'm going to go back to the size 8 needles now. I did the brim in 8, the lace part in a 10 needle, and now I'm going to go back to 8. I put the 8s on the cable and now I purl around. At the end of the first row of purls, I've removed the 2 stitch markers that were marking the end of the repeats for the lace pattern. Now I need to join on this other ball of yarn. This will put the knot inside the little roll of purl stitches. But I'm going to use both strands of yarn in the last stitch and slip the marker and use just the new strand of yarn in the first stitch after the marker. I'm going to go a few stitches. Now I have to purl through the other side of the stitch because of my purling this way. And while the stitches are still on the needle, I'm going to tie these together, and then I'll weave the tails of these into the piece of work later. But if I tie them together while they're still on the needles, it won't pull up too much. Still wants to tighten up though. I'll do a 3rd knot so that it doesn't pull the whole stitch tighter. There we go. And just go back to knitting around, purling around, I'm sorry. I've tried 2 methods for turning the side band to the tip of the hat. On this white hat, I purled 2 rows, and on the 3rd purl row, I picked up the side band stitches to make a little roll. And on the natural color hat, I purled 3 rows, and then I knit the last row to the side band. I think I like the knit version better. This puts the row of purls, the double purls, on the top of the hat and sort of pushes this band outward a little bit. And I just think I like this way better, where the little roll sort of stands proud of both the side and the crown. So I'm going to use this method. So I'm going to purl all 3 rows before I join this to the last row. When I get back around to my stitch marker, I'm going to be sure to purl both of the yarn strands from where I joined the new ball of yarn. And that won't show up too much as one fat stitch. So this will be my 3rd purl row. And then I'll do something special. After 3 rows of purls, I want to pick up the purl bumps at the top of the side band of the hat and join those with the stitches on the needle, the same as I did for the band at the bottom of the side band. I'm using a DPN, a circular needle also works, and just knit together. I'm working the tail where I tied a knot in the 2 strands of yarn to join a new ball. I'm just putting that inside of this little loop I'm making. Here's a closer view of the loops that I'm picking up. I'm picking up the ones that are pointing up as opposed to the ones that are pointing down. And when I pick them up bottom to top this way, that makes the working leg on this side. So when I knit from the needle that I purled on, that put the working leg in the back. So I do back to front like that. You can do it whichever way it comes out right. Just try to work the leg that's pointing this way, otherwise it'll twist and pucker up. After that 3-needle join is complete, knit the next row and place markers to separate out 8 sections to make your decreases. You have 72 stitches, so knit 9, place a marker, and knit 9 and place a marker. I'm going to use the first marker, the round of round marker, as one of the decrease markers. So you'll have 8 total counting the end of round marker. At the end of that knit round with all the markers placed, start a decrease round. A decrease round means at every marker you slip the marker, then you slip the next stitch knitwise, the next stitch purlwise, and then knit together through the back. It's the same decrease that we used on the front of the hat, on the brim of the hat. Nice simple decrease. Here it is again. Slip the marker, slip the first stitch knitwise, slip the next stitch purlwise, and then knit them together. Let's see if I can do it and stay underneath the camera. Slip one knitwise, slip the second one purlwise, and then knit together. And do that all the way around, and every other row knit all the stitches, then do another decrease round, and then knit all the stitches, etc. until you get to the top. Follow the pattern. When I get to 4 stitches between markers, the hat is too small to continue knitting on the 16-inch needle, so I'm going to switch to double pointed needles. I'm going to mark the beginning of the round with a clip marker so that I can take off the end of round marker. And now I'm going to knit onto double pointed needles. And this is a decrease round, so I decrease a stitch, knit 2, slip the marker, decrease 1, knit 2, and now the next marker comes off and the gap between the needles is the marker. So I decrease 1, knit 2. So you keep going this way so that you end up with one marker in the middle of each needle, and the space between the needles is also a marker. And the marker clipped to the fabric indicates the beginning of the round. So you'll end up on 4 needles with 3 stitches between each needle. Here's the end of the round with the 4 double pointed needles, and now I knit the next round and then do another decrease round, and so on until I'm left with one stitch between each marker. That's the last stitch decreased. There's one stitch between each marker. Now I need to move the stitches so there are 4 stitches on 2 needles. Remove the markers now. Alright, now I have all this, I have the 2 pairs of stitches that I can graft together. If you prefer, you can take a needle and thread your yarn and just run it through all the stitches and pull it into a circle. Either way, you have to thread the yarn on a needle. One way to close is to simply thread the needle through all the stitches like this, all the way around, and pull the yarn through and just pull it up into a little circle. I don't happen to like the way that looks, so I do a Kitchener close instead. And that's a graft where you basically knit these together. There's many videos online that show how to do it in great detail. I'll just show it very quickly. The first step is to join the yarn. Purlwise through the front and knitwise through the back, and then knitwise you slip the stitch off and then go into the next stitch purlwise, then you pull the back stitch off purlwise and knit the second stitch, knit off, purl, purl off, knit, knit off, purl, purl off, knit. If you do it enough times, you'll get muscle memory for it, and it's a lot easier to do it without making mistakes. The first 15 or 20 times I did it, I had to concentrate really hard. And that makes a nice little close. Now you have to sort of tug at the yarn and get the tension just right. I did that quickly. Now I will adjust it. Now my Kitchener close is adjusted so it's not too tight, and I'm going to thread the needle through the hole to the back of the hat. Ooh, that underside is bright. And I'll weave in this tail a little bit and tie the cotton yarn by separating the plies and running it under a stitch and then tying a knot. And then I will wash and block the hat. I'm going to leave these tails as they are while I block the hat and weave those in afterwards.